When using gentle modalities to try to coax lingering pathogens out of the body, and with things like long COVID and chronic fatigue, we must use gentle modalities. Let's practice constancy, constant rate, and constant practice. As my subscribers know, I committed to more than 3 months of practicing Bagua Zhen in the middle of the night. But after those dark 30 workouts, I found it much easier to go to sunrise taiji, and so I've done that all summer also. I've said it before, but there's something special about getting out there at sunrise and doing the taiji form, and I really love it. I'm also well aware of the privilege that I have in being able to get out there and enjoy this. I'm continuously thankful because with the severity of my injuries and the health problems that I have now, I never know when it'll be the end. This is as good as it gets, and I'm lucky to be able to go out there each day. Now it's time for a word from our sponsor. Ableism is the leading edge of fascism, and it's a form of hate. Now we need to talk about the sickest and therefore the most vulnerable of this patient population. To do this, we've got to shelve all the ableist ideas about exercise we grew up with. All of us, but especially medical professionals, need to make a serious attempt to understand these patients' current situation. I spoke of exertion intolerance in the previous video, but in these really serious situations, it goes much further than that. When you think about what their life was like before it was interrupted by COVID and then chronic fatigue, a lot of these patients had been athletic. Now, just one episode of overexertion can reduce the threshold for exertion intolerance to the point where they can't exercise at all. This brings us to what the Chinese called non-doing. The weakest and therefore the most vulnerable of these patients are bedridden. Any energy that stagnates in the body becomes fire eventually, and these patients start to exhibit fire characteristics even though they're in a very weakened state. It needs to be understood that in this weakened state, they're very susceptible to having the virus go in deeper. Any type of therapy or treatment that's too direct can make them relapse. What we need is a gentle method of coaxing the virus to go out instead of in deeper. When the patient's body is totally out of balance, you're always confronted with these strange contradictions. Remember, they can't exercise, but they absolutely need to sweat. They're bedridden, but they absolutely need to make their qi and blood move. Amy said the energy was like a scared animal in a hole. Any kind of force, any kind of harshness will only make it go in deeper. So we have to have a gentle practice that through slow, continuous use can coax the energy out instead of forcing it in further. If the patient is under the care of a doctor and they're not getting results, then the missing link is the specific kind of exercise. And with seated taiji ruler practice and seated taiji form practice, no exertion is allowed, and yet it effectively moves the blood, qi, and lymph. These soft or internal modalities were designed specifically to complement Chinese medicine. Lingering pathogens have been studied in Chinese medicine for a long time, and they have effective treatment methods, and we have the slow motion and internal movement modalities to go with it.